Hey everybody, let's talk about numerology, especially when it comes to Kemeticism. Now, numerology is very significant in many religions, including Christianity. Don't believe me? Think about this. The number 6, the number 7, the number 12, including the number 13. Those are very important numbers. In Christianity, also in Judaism, numbers are very important. In fact, in Judaism, if I am correct, someone can let me know, both the Judaic alphabet is also the Judaic numbering system, which I think is very interesting. So with that, like I said, this is about the Kemetic numbers. So some of the major numbers in Kemeticism is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10, and 12. These numbers have very specific meanings. For example, 3 is a completion. I'll talk more about this later on. 1 is creativity. 2 is duality. 4 is a perfect square. So 7 is perfection. 10 and 12 have to do with time. And like I said, I'll get more into those numbers in later videos. Now, some numbers like 6 and 9, and even 8, actually, are a duality of 2 numbers. For example, 6 is number 3 twice. Number 3 and number 2 times together. The number 9 is 3 times 3. Number 8 is the 2 times 4. So, with that, I am going to get off here and hope you all have a blessed day and dua. Let's talk about the number 2 when it comes to Kemeticism. The number 2 has everything to do with duality and unity. And knowing that you have to have both halves in order to have the whole. In other words, you have day, you must have night. You have left, you must have right. You have north, you must have south. You have east, you must have west. Also, you have feminine, you must have masculine. You have, I can go on. You can't have order without chaos. You can't have good without evil. And if this sounds familiar, think about yin and yang. So, the number 2 in duality is basically the same as the yin and yang. Now, like I said, they all have to be together as the whole. And in balance. So you gotta have them both to be in balance. Now, the ancient Kemetic Paganism knew this. In fact, they had an Upper Egypt and a Lower Egypt. Now, something you might not realize, but Upper Egypt was actually south of Lower Egypt. Why? It's because the Nile River, which is actually they call Hapi, which is it was actually named of one of their gods, flowed from south to north because it's actually the level is actually lower north than it is south. So it's actually going downhill from south to north, which is very interesting. And also, the 2 colors if I could have this wrong, so I might have to switch around. But if I'm right, upper Egypt was a white crown, and lower Egypt was the red crown, and the Pharaoh would wear a crown with both colors, the red and the white, to show the completion or the wholeness of one Kemet, even though it was two. So with that, I'm going to let you go. You'll have a blessed day, and Duba. So let's talk about the number 4 when it comes to Kemetic faith. The number 4 represents completion. As you know, completion means something has been finished. So, number 4 is representative in many things. For example, think of the 4 cardinal points. You have north, you have south, you have east, and you have west. You also have the 4 Coptic jars that are used in mummification that holds the organs, lungs, liver, kidney, and I think bladder. Someone can tell me if I'm wrong with those. So, and those Coptic jars are absolutely representative, if I'm right, of the 4 sons of Horus. Now, you also have the 4 cornerstones. And if you think of it, think of a square, rectangle, or any rhombus. By the way, rhombus is anything with 4 sides that come together. So, the angles of a square, rectangle, or rhombus. So, think of anything that doesn't represent a square or rectangle, like a parallelogram, for example. The angles added together will equal 360. The 360 is very important because, according to the ancient Kemets, the year was only 360 days, not 365. But we'll get more into that on tomorrow's number. And also 4 times 9, or 4 times 90 is 360. So you have that. So that's, like I said, that's what 4 is all about. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and Dua. So let's talk about the number 5 when it comes to Kemeticism. So the number 5 actually doesn't have any quote-unquote magical properties or any really important meaning to it. However, the number 5 is important in this one way. According to Kemetic traditions, the year at one time was only 360 days. If you remember, a circle is 360 degrees, perfect round circle. And so that is very important. But you see, what happened is that Nut, which is the heavens, and Geb, which is the earth, really loved each other. Oh, by the way, they were twins. And they were very connected to each other, and Ra had to get their father to hold Nut up in the air. So because of her closeness to her brother, well, she got pregnant with 5 children. And Ra was not happy, and Ra told Nut, you cannot have a child on any of the days of the year. So Thoth, also known as Tahuti, had a little game contest with the moon. And, well, Thoth won. And Thoth won 5 days. And Thoth, being the wise man that he is, nature, decided that it's best to give those days to Newt. So, added to the 360 days were the 5 imperial days. And each of those days, one child was born. And of course, we know those children as Osiris, Isis, Seth, Nephthys, and Horus the Elder. So, like I said, even though the number 5 has no esoteric meaning to it, it is very important in the story of why we have 365 days in the year instead of just 360 according to Kemetic traditions. And with that, I'm going to let you all have a wonderful day. Dua. So let's talk about the numbers 8 and 9 when it comes to the Kemeticism and Heka. So 8 and 9 are both intensifications of earlier numbers. 8 obviously being intensification of the number 4 times by added to itself. And 9 being intensification of 3 times by itself. So now both of them is representative in different deities. So the number 8 is representative of the 8 primordial or pre-dynastic deities represented by night, secrecy, obscurity, and eternity. And the number 9 being representative by the 9 deities that came after a tomb. So, and those deities are Ra, who is combined into a tomb Ra, for example. Then you have Shu and Tetnut. Now, Shu and Tetnut had Geb and Nut. And Nut had the 5, but the 4 we're going to talk about is Isis and Osiris, or Osiris and Set, and Set and Nephthys. Yeah, we don't talk about Horus the Elder. There's really no stories on them. Oh, and by the way, the 8 pre-dynastic deities were Nu and Nut for night, and yes, it's the same Nut. Heru and Hehut for eternity. Kekyu and Kikut for obscurity, and Keher and Kerhert for secret. What's very interesting is stories have changed over the millennia of how different deities came in place, and they weren't always with the same, paired off the same as you see nowadays. So with that, have a wonderful day. Dua. Let's talk about the number 10 when it comes to Kemeticism and Heka. So 10 is a number that's representative by time. And when I'm saying about time, I'm talking about weeks. So in our society and around the world, stuff like that, we consider a week 7 days based off of Genesis in the Bible. It is what it is. 6 days, 6 day creation, 7 day rest, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. Now, in ancient Kemetic times, a week was 10 days. And we get our word decum from there, or decan from there, which means 10. So a month was 30 days or 3 10-day weeks. Remember, 3 was the number of plurality. So, also, the number 10 is important because a generation, according to ancient Kemetic time, was 30 years, 3 times 10. Also, if a pharaoh happened to be lucky enough to be able to serve for 30 years, that pharaoh had to do a physical training test. Literally run around his temple home to show that he had a physical capability to lead his people. For if you had a weak pharaoh, you had a weak country, you had a weak nation. Also, 10 is important because of the cubit, which a lot of people know about the cubit because it is mentioned in the Bible. That cubit is representative of the number 10 as well. So, with that, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Tomorrow I'll be talking about the number 12, which would be the last number. And that was also about time. So, Dua.